I told a story last weekend about an uneventful shopping trip that had two events. In that video, I explained how the cashier at Aldi was going too fast and made an error on the bill. And then I went to Lidl down the block, and they were courteous, polite, and did everything correctly. Well, this story starts off with last Wednesday, I think it was, when the whip had to work and I had to go to jury duty, and the battery in Ginger, which is the car that she normally drives, was dead. So she took my car and I took the 2010. When she comes home, she doesn't know how to back in the driveway, so she pulls in the regular way. My car has been sitting there the regular way for a week because I don't go anywhere. It bothers me. And I'm not going to start it up just to turn it around to put it back in the driveway. And because the hood was pointing to the garage door, and we know the battery in the Big Six does not have long for this world, I decided that morning that it would be, and this was yesterday, that it would be a good idea to put the charger on the battery again, just in case. So I went out early that morning and I hooked it up and everything was good. Well, the whiff had worked the night before, so she slept all day, and we needed dinner yesterday. So we decided that we were going to get dinner out at a place that's about 4 towns away, west of here. We've been there many times before. The food is always excellent, and it sounded good. But the whiff said, "Oh, should I run to the grocery store and get some like fresh fruit?" And I said, "Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea, but I'll tell you what, if you want, I'll drive and we'll hit the store first. We'll take my car and we'll hit the store first, then we'll get dinner, we'll come back. I'll park the car the right way, and then everything will be all set. You know, we'll have fresh fruit, we'll have dinner, and everything is all done, and the car will get to go out after a week." Sure, sounds good. So we get in the car and we go to Lidl. It's a small grocery store, you know, the little one. Yeah, there's actually four little stores here that I go to in varying four or five? Four that I go to in, well, actually five, but anyway, I go to these in varying order and depending on what area I'm exactly going to be in at the time is the little store that I go to. But being that we just needed a few items, I decided to go to the one here. Now, something that you may not realize and may not know is that if you go to a grocery store in a, how should I put this? In an area where people are well off, such as here, the prices are a little higher than you would find in the same grocery store located in a more impoverished area. So, for example, if they have chicken breast on sale for $2.29 a pound, in the impoverished area, it might be $2.19 a pound or $2.09 a pound. Not advertised, just is. And that's the way it goes. Grocery stores are an interesting business. They operate on razor-thin margins, and they also have a lot of waste of stuff left out of fridges or people didn't put back in the right spot. You don't know if it's good or not, so it has to be gotten rid of. The produce, all that kind of stuff. Fresh baked goods, all that. There's a lot of waste. So on top of that, you know, like I said, you're operating on a razor-thin margin. So we needed a couple of items. Well, folks, I can't catch a break. Okay? We go to the grocery store here. And the plan was we'd go there and then we'd start driving out to the place to get dinner, which was good because I needed to go to that area anyway because there's a bank there. I had a check I needed to deposit. So I figured we'll hit the bank, we'll get dinner, and we'll come back, you know. It's all right in the same area within a couple of blocks. But we went to the grocery store here because there's not one right there. So whatever the little higher price was, whatever, it is what it is. We go. This fresh fruit trip ended up culminating in us spending a little over $100. Was it stuff we needed? Not really. It's just things looked interesting. I guess we were hungry. I don't know. It was not a good time to go to the grocery store. We did get our fresh fruit. We did get a couple of other items I like to buy. They have like a salmon fillet. Huge, huge slab. So that was like $29. And that was on sale, no less. Okay? But it's like over 3 pounds worth. Almost 4 pounds. It's tremendous, and that'll feed that'll be 6 meals with, you add your own sides and all that kind of stuff. So I got that, and the Wif saw the can of crab, and she says, "Is that real crab?" Ooh. She says, "Oh, I want that." I said, "Okay, what are we going to do with it?" "Well, I don't know. It's crab." I said, "Oh, wait, I have a recipe for crab dip." Happened to have the phone with me. Got the cookbook recipes, all my recipes on there. So punch that up. Yeah, there it is. Oh, we need cream cheen for that. Well, isn't that interesting? We just bought cream cheen like a week or two ago, as I told in that other story. We go through a lot of cream cheen here. Why? New York bagels. Downstate New York bagels. There's been studies on this. Those who have come here from other states agree. They have never had a bagel like these. They are fantastic. We have bagels almost every day for breakfast. I wasn't necessarily looking to buy cream cheen. However, it just so turned out they happened to have it on sale at Lidl while I was there. Oh shit! Absolutely! So here's how it works. The block, which is all I buy, is $1.59. But the sale was 2 for $2. Must buy 2. Well, let's see, $1.59 plus $1.59, that's $3.40, $3.38. But I can get it for $2. I'm buying cream cheen. I needed it for the recipe, and I figured, hey, as long as it's such a great price, let me buy 4 of them. I need 2 for the recipe, and then we'll have 2 more to keep in the fridge for more boogles. Great. So between everything, we go and we get to the register. Now, there was an older gentleman at the register. He made the simplest of mistakes. This was an honest mistake. He wasn't going too fast, but maybe he was a little absent-minded. We get rung up, we pay, we go to the car, we get everything done, and sitting in the car, I'm looking over the receipt, and I said, no, this is totally not right. We bought 4 cream cheens, not 7. Now, the registers at Lidl do something where if you buy 2 of the same item, regardless of what it is, it puts 2 at however much for 1, and then says the item, and then the final price of the 2 added up. But it won't do that for larger quantities, unless that larger quantity is first entered. And that's what the guy did. This was his mistake. He saw there were 4 cream cheens there. So the first thing he does is he goes to the little keypad thing, and he puts quantity 4, and now the system says, okay, scan the item that there's 4 of. So he scans the first cream cheen. Okay, four of them, $1.59 each, but wait, two for $2 with the sale, must buy two, he's buying four, no problem, he gets the sale on each set of two. And it came out perfectly to $4 for four blocks of cream cheese. Excellent price, everything is all set. His mistake was forgetting that he had just put quantity 4 on the first one and then rang the other 3, beep, beep, beep. 4 plus 3 is 7. So I said, motherfucker, I cannot catch a break. What the fuck? But I said, you know what? I'm cool with this. I get it. I know what he did wrong. It was an honest, absent-minded mistake. I understand. They'll correct it. Everything will be all set. I go back in the store. We go to the guy, and the Wif was with me, and she was still remembering last time, so she's like, I'll handle this. So she goes to the guy, hey, I got 4 cream cheese. You rang me up for 7. What? How much? What are you talking about? 7? 7? 7 what? Because the Wif is very soft-spoken. Oh, excuse me, can you just help me here? So he didn't hear her, okay? Well, the guy was busy ringing people up, but there was a cashier at the next register who had just closed his lane or something. I don't know exactly, but it was roped off in that. So anyways, he says, Dan, could you take care of this for me? And Dan's like, sure, no problem. Dan is younger. How old? I don't know. If he was 30, it would be a lot. But Dan was courteous, and he was accurate, but it didn't end up being accurate. It was not his fault, and I don't even blame him for that, because I didn't even realize this until I left. He looked, he figured everything out, and he went in the system, and he returned 3 cream cheese, and it returned 1 at $1.59 minus 59 cents, then a second one at $1.59 minus 59 cents, then a third one at $1.59 minus 59 cents. The problem is, because I got an odd number, it was not a must buy 2. So of those 7, 4 were rung up correctly. Then the system automatically quantifies the quantity 2, took the discount on that, but then there was yet one more. Well, it's a must buy 2, so you don't get the discount on that. That was $1.59. So I ended up getting $3.27 back. I didn't think much of it. I thought everything was good. We start driving out west. We're going to the bank. And halfway there, I said, oh shit, that guy fucked up. He owes us another 59 cents plus tax, which is 64 cents. A lot of people are now going to say, oh, fuck it, Jay, for the 64 cents, the hell with it. You're a cheap Jew bastard. It's not worth your time. Fuck you. Come on, this, that, and the third. No. Okay? This is Mr. Shekels in me, okay? It has to be right. It has to be accurate. And if it's not, it gets returned. And I get all of my money back. We go to the bank. I deposit the check. We get dinner. We pick it up. We start driving back. It's rush hour. It's Friday night. It took a half hour to get home. But we didn't go home. We went back to the store. So now I walked into the same store for the 3rd time on the same day. Dan is still there. I walk over to Dan, who is now ringing up customers, and I said, almost right, but we got a problem. And Dan said, okay, what's the problem? I said, Dan, I'm sorry, we're going to need a manager for this one. Now, I'm not a Karen and wanting to speak to the manager. I think I have told an old war story about this, how you don't want to speak to the manager if you don't have to. But I think a manager would have to get involved with this to override it, and then that's only going to complicate matters and make it take even longer. So I said, let me cut to the chase and speak to the manager. Dan says, sure. He calls a lady over who's right there, who's the manager. I have never met, and she wasn't even blonde, but holy shit was she fucking ditzy. So I said, hi, listen, okay, here's the deal. And I start trying to explain this to her. I said, so you have the cream cheese on sale for two for $2. Must buy two. Well, I don't know about that one, sir. I said, no, you don't need to know anything, ma'am. It's right there on the receipt. I'd be happy to walk you over to the shelf where the price tag says it. But no, she grabs the flyer that they had there and she starts leafing through it. Now, you got pages. We could walk to the damn cream cheen and I could show her the tag. Or she could just look at the receipt and figure it out. But the ditz is fucking this all up. So she's looking at this, and now she gets out her tools. Her tools include a pen and her phone. So now she's going to open up the calculator on her phone, but she has messages. So she goes and flips through those quick. It only took about 3 or 4 seconds, but even so, that was, and I get it that people do that, but it's like, come on, you can look at them later. So I start trying to explain this to her. I said, ma'am, look, it's really simple, okay? I bought an odd number. Actually, I didn't. I was rung up for an odd number. Now, Dan here refunded me for the 3, but there's still a 59-cent plus tax discrepancy, because all of those were returned at the sale price, and that shouldn't be. 2 should be at the sale price, 1 not at the sale price, and rather at the original price. So she's looking at the receipt. She can't figure out what in the fuck is going on. But she says, 64 cents? Is that all you're here for? I said, well, yes, but... And she says, Dan, get this guy... I said, no, I'm sorry, ma'am. Please, just a moment, okay? I live 5 towns away. This was bullshit, but it's helping my cause. Because while it's nobody's real fault, this was still an error, and I understand the older guy didn't mean to do this, and it really was an honest mistake, and I understand Dan possibly overlooking this also, so I get that part of it also. And I was actually really understanding with this, because at least they were trying. But I gave her this bullshit line, listen, I stopped here on my way home from work, and I live 5 towns away. I got home, I'm unloading, I was going to unload the groceries, but I looked at the receipt in the car, and I said, oh man, I can't believe this. So I came back. She said, oh, you didn't have to come back today. I said, no, ma'am, I wanted to come back today so the same people would be here, so you could speak to them if need be. Not so they'd get reprimanded, but just like, what happened with this guy with the cream cheen? So as we're talking through this, she happened to say butter instead of cream cheen. That's going to become important in just a minute. Anyway, she's like, 64 cents, is that all you're here for after all this? So she was going to have Dan give me 64 cents, but I said, ma'am, I think really, here's where the problem is, okay? You can give me my 64 cents back, and that will correct the issue. But I can also guarantee you that you're going to lose a customer for life. Because after all this fucking hassle, okay, this has to not only be corrected, but also made right. Now, there is a big difference here between corrected and made right, okay? And this is an old business practice. I learned this actually at the Wiz and at Tiny Middle, where we practice this if indeed the customer was right. And the line we had at the Wiz, by the way, is the customer may not always be right, but they're never wrong. On the take of the customer is always right. And that's why stores used to have that motto. In this case, I was definitely right, and they were definitely wrong. So I said, ma'am, I think it goes a little further with that. This is the third time I've been in the same store today. My original receipt, if you look at it, you'll see that I spent over $100 here. So what I'm asking for you to do is perhaps instead of the refund, maybe just give me a $5 gift card for next time. I thought that was plenty fair, okay? I'm not looking for a lot of money, just a little something for my time and aggravation from all this shit that should have never happened from the start. Again, it really wasn't anybody's fault per se. It was an honest mistake, as opposed to the guy at Aldi just speeding through not caring. That's different. This was an honest mistake, and everybody is entitled to make a mistake. But you don't do that to a customer, especially an old customer such as myself, because now they're going to get really pissed, because they go into that store knowing that they're buying what they're buying and it's going to be rung up correctly. They're being charged a fair price. They're going to pay a fair price. They get their goods, which are of good quality, and they'll come back. So 64 cents would only correct the mathematical issue, but not make it right. So the $5 was to make it right. And immediately she said, "Oh, I can't do that for you, sir. Absolutely not." I said, "Well, ma'am, listen, the other thing," oh, and I forgot to mention, the other thing is, I said to her, "You're going to lose a customer for life." Her expression changed immediately. She's like, "Oh, shit." So I was like, yeah, so that's kind of why I'm just asking for just a little compensation in this case. "Well, I can't do that for you, sir." I said, "Well, there's somebody here who can." "No, wait, that can't, you can't, you're threatening me about this, sir." I said, "Absolutely not, ma'am. I have not raised my voice to you once." I said, "Listen, I spent over $100 here. I still have the groceries in the car. I reserve the right to go and get them and return the entire order." She says, "You can do what you like, sir, but I can't give you a gift card." I said, "Well, what can we do?" She said, "Well, you could call customer service." Well, isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? As we were standing online to pay for our stuff, there was like one or two people ahead of us. They have signs up at the register everywhere. You have to be 21 or older to buy alcoholic beverages. This, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. "Oh, if you have any issues with anything, call customer service." And they had the number there. And I happened to notice that, not realizing that I was going to need to do that. But I said, no, there's gotta be something here. She says, "What do you want, sir?" I said, "What do I want? I already told you what I wanted." She says, "I can't give you a gift card. Is there something in the store you need?" So I thought about it. I said, "Oh, She said butter before by accident. You know something? I'm actually running low on that. I'm not out of it, but I was going to need to buy it. So I said, well, ma'am, actually, it's funny, accidentally before you said butter, and I just realized I'm running very low on that, and I was going to need it anyway. She said, well, go and get some. I said, but ma'am, that's going to be, close to the $5 that you. She's like, no, it's fine. Okay. So I walk back. I get a pound of butter. Well, they had two choices for the butter. For $4.24, they had the Little brand butter. For $4.64, they had the Land O'Lakes brand butter, the leading national brand. What did I grab? I grabbed the Little brand. It's probably going to be a bit of better butter. Yeah, it probably would be. I don't buy leading national brands anymore because they have gone to hell and they ain't coming back and they charge way too much. So I said, well, fuck it, I'll get the Little butter. That's what I would have bought anyway. And, save them a little bit on that for what it's worth. So I get my pound of butter for $4.24. And she says, Dan will take care of you. So Dan rung up the butter. She came by, put her code in, gave a discount of 100%, and he handed me 64 cents out of the drawer. Handed me receipt, closed the cash drawer, and that was it. And I said to the lady, thank you, ma'am. That's how you do business. I will be back. I should not have needed to tell her this or even offer it. She should have immediately said, sir, I'm terribly sorry about all of this mix-up. I feel terrible that you had to come back to this store 3 times in the same day to get this corrected, and that we couldn't correct it the first time, of which we shouldn't have made the mistake to begin with. But again, like I said, it was an honest mistake and all of that. And she should have said, sir, what I'll do is I'll be happy to refund you the 64 cents. And if there's anything else I can do for you, if there's something else you need in the store here, please tell me what I can do for you. She should have offered that information. I shouldn't have needed to ask for it. So at the end of the day, I came home. I got the grocery. Oh, I'm sorry. I went to the car where the Wif was sitting. I had the already overstuffed bag of groceries because we have to bring our own bags. And I only had the one. And I threw the butter along with all the receipts on the top of the bag. We get home. I parked the car the right way. I grabbed the bag. She has the food. We bring that in. First thing is we have stuff that needs to be refrigerated or frozen, like the salmon. So that had to go, and we put some other things away. We got some eggs also we needed, and a couple other things, So that had to go in the fridge, and we got everything put away, and we eat dinner. And dinner was good. After that, we go upstairs. So now it's maybe an hour after we got home. And I said, did you put the butter away? She says, I don't think so. So this is kind of like the epilogue to it. She says, I don't think so. And I came down and I looked in the fridge. There ain't no butter there. Oh, wait a second. I remember I put it on the top of the bag. It's possible it fell out and I didn't see it. I got to go back out to the car. So I go back out to the car, and sure enough, there was the butter. I bring it in, I put it in the fridge. And as I'm putting it in the fridge, I happen to look on the door where there was a jar of prepared horseradish that we happen to see at Lidl, different brand than we normally buy, but figured we'd try it, and I happen to need some for an upcoming meal that I'm making. So I said, oh, okay. Oh, wait a second. Holy shit. That horseradish, the crab, was right next to that. I put the can of crab right in the other room. I said, that was refrigerated. Oh, shit. And I go back and I look and it says, keep refrigerated. Well, it's a damn good thing I checked on that and I put it in the fridge. There's allegedly a 2-hour, 4-hour rule where something that is needing constant refrigeration is out of the fridge for 2 hours or less. You can put it back in the fridge and it'll be fine. If it's been out for more than 2 hours but less than 4 hours, you can prepare it and eat it immediately and still be safe, so to speak. So hopefully everything is good. It was only like an hour or so since we got home with everything. So that probably was right within the window. So I think we're going to be all right on that. I haven't made the crab dip yet, but that's going to be coming up within the next couple of weeks. So if I die from that, you won't see me again. But other than that, like I said, as far as the story goes and what happened, I learned this at the Wiz and at Tiny Middle. If the customer had a good case, we would do what we had to do, even if it meant the store was taking a loss, which is usually what ends up happening, in order to make the customer right again. In other words, restore their faith in the business. So this way, they will be a repeat customer. Yesterday, I spent $100. What about a month ago when I spent another $100? And 2 months back when I spent another $100 there? And another $100. So there's $1,000, $1,500, maybe even more dollars a year that store would no longer be getting because of this minor error. So that little $5 loss that they had to take on this, roughly $5 loss, corrected the issue and made the customer right again so they would return. And indeed, I'm not going to be a dick about it, and I will most certainly return next time I need something. To that particular Lidl, I'm not adverse to going there, but like I said, if I can go to a different Lidl because I'm in that area, and not for nothing, the one here is kind of like a really little, so they don't necessarily have a lot of stuff, and the other stores are a bit more spread out and have more stock and things. So it's kind of, I prefer not to go to this one, but it was just a convenience factor and all that. So that's where it all ended up. I can't believe that 1 week the guy too fast, and now like the following week or 2 weeks later, whatever it is, this shit happens. I can't catch a fucking break. Unbelievable. I should not have needed to tell her what needed to happen. That should have been offered immediately. I could have refused at that point. And actually, a lot of this, let me stay calm about this shit, happened to occur because YouTube accidentally recommended a video to me recently that I watched, which was Mr. Rogers Goes to the Grocery Store. For some reason it was recommended. Now, for those of you in the younger audience, there was a show when I was a kid where there was a nice man by the name of Mr. Rogers, and he taught us about real life. Not science or anything like that, just how to conduct yourself in life, what to do if you get angry. Don't hurt anybody, talk nicely to people. You can speak your mind, you can think different. You should always be yourself, because that's the greatest gift that you can give to anybody else. The man was a fucking genius. Okay? He was a genius. I did prefer Sesame Street over Mr. Rogers, but I definitely would watch it. And just seeing it again was like, holy fuck. Damn. And it so turns out, the store that he went to, while he, of course, didn't encounter any problems, he went in and he needed just a couple of things. And it was a neighborhood grocery store, because it's always a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Or, I'm sorry, beautiful day in the neighborhood. So he went to the neighborhood grocery store. Like I said, he only needed a few things. And it was like a mom and pop shop kind of thing. So he went there and he ended up buying a gallon of milk and a bunch of bananas and some yogurt. And he showed how you shop. And he said, oh, here's the yogurt here. Let me see. Oh, this is the one that I like. That's the one I'm going to get. And he put it in his little basket, and he says, the milk, wow, look at all that milk there. And then he would say things like, I wonder about all of the different people that will drink this milk. Trying to get the kid's mind to, get the gears moving. Guy was a fucking genius. And he got to the register. Oh, I'm sorry. Before he went in the store, right? They got a thing sitting right outside the store. Big sign. They happen to have canned corn on sale. This episode was from 1984. I was 5 years old. 5 years old. Okay? And there was the price for not the private label, not the store brand. No. The leading national brand, Del Monte, at least here in the U.S., canned corn, ready for this? Regular or cream style, your choice, 2 for 90 cents. I died. I died when I saw that. I absolutely died. I said 90 cents for 2? They were 45 cents a can? And I was alive then? Oh my God. They get like fucking $2.29 for that shit now. I don't know, because I don't buy leading national brand shit. But you go to a leading grocery store and buy the leading national brand, you're going to pay a leading national brand price plus profit. Let me tell you. God damn. And I thought about it and I said, well, that was 40 fucking years ago. Prices do go up. And it turns out I can get a can of canned corn, cream or regular style at Aldi, for about 70 cents today. Yeah, that's still a big increase over that, but we are talking about a rather small amount. Wow, that was something. Anyways, he gets to the register, and for his milk, yogurt, and bananas, he paid $3.14 or something like that. I died again. And the register didn't have a barcode scanner at all. Nope, everything had a price sticker. And in fact, while he was at the grocery store, the man showed him how he puts the price labels on. He didn't wear a dark blouse, also, the guy who was stocking the shelves. And he had an apron on. And he let Mr. Rogers try the little price gun. I don't know if they still have these, where they put a little sticker with the price on shit. Sometimes you still see that. So anyways, there it was, and he did that, and then he got to the register, and the register was electromechanical. So the lady punches everything up, and he hands her, $5 or something like that, and the register goes chunk, 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 buzz, 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 cha-ching, and the drawer opens and shit. And he even said to her, wow, that machine sure makes a lot of different sounds. Oh, it sure does. Here you go. Here's $1.70, no, I'm sorry, 86 cents back. There, I just made change that fast. Holy shit. Nobody else could do that, especially the lady at Lidl. She got her phone out, didn't even use the calculator. I had to do it all for her. But anyway, and he went back. There was also another recommended video, which I subsequently watched, of Mr. Rogers when he went to the shoe store. Oddly enough, both of these stores were called Wagner's. I don't know if there's any relation, but it was in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, where... I'm sorry, it was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where this show was recorded. And I said, no, I know there's no chance, right? So I went to Google Maps and I typed in Wagner's Shoes, Pittsburgh. They're still in business. They've been in business since like the 1850s. They know how to do business with people. Okay? They know how to do business with people. And the grocery store? Well, sure as shit, they're still in business to this day. Anyway, that's all I got. I cannot believe that this happened twice in a row where they fucked up. 2 different stores. This second time, again, like I said, was an honest mistake, but Jesus Christ. I wish I could catch a break. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you click like. Make sure you click subscribe. I appreciate you all very much. And take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.